It's okay.
Yeah. Are you okay?
I'm good.
Put your feet up here so I can.
Are my feet up?
I mean, are your feet warm?
Yeah.
Warm before me?
Yeah, they're up in the.
Okay.
I'm like sitting crisscross applesauce. Hey, you're pretty cute.
You're pretty cute.
All right, what are we talking about?
Uh, is there a topic that you're like? Uh,
It seems like you want to talk about attachment styles, though.
that's the only one I can think about right now.
Okay, let's talk about attachment styles. We talked about it a little bit in our last video.
So how do we start this off? Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. La 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 la. Okay, I can hear myself in it. So, I guess we could start here. All right. So, we're gonna be talking about attachment styles. I think that's a very popular topic
Mm-hmm.
because once you, as an individual, figure out your attachment style, um, I feel like you're able to see what needs and wants you're able to take care of yourself, and what needs and wants you might have um, that your partner needs to fulfill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think give you some direction on like I don't know, because if you know that there's an issue and then you can figure out what your attachment style is, it kind of like will show you how to navigate that situation
Hmm.
if you like already have that understanding of yourself.
So, would you like to go first? Or would you like me to go first?
You go first.
So, my attachment style is avoidant. For those who don't know what the avoidant attachment style is, um, for me, it's I don't like conflict. I don't like having to argue. I don't like having to fight. I grew up majority of my life having to self-soothe, so meaning I had to deal with my own problems, my own issues, because I felt like I didn't want to be overwhelming to other people, or I felt like other people might not have
Mm.
cared, or I've been in positions to where I've been what's what I'm looking for. I've been not neglected, but not have been taken seriously, or my trust has been misplaced too many times to the point where I kind of
Yeah.
like closed off from people. And typically, when I get into a conflict, I need a minute to kind of collect my thoughts and see how I want to best attack the situation. On the other end of that, like on a, I guess, worst case scenario, I'd walk away from the situation completely, just wash my hands with it and be done with it because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it, not because it's too much. It's just that I don't feel like it's necessary to have certain conflicts. And if an
Mm-hmm.
individual is really like attacking, I'm gonna shut down and I'm gonna clock out. Um, yeah. How about you?
I am definitely like an anxious attachment style, and I think that that has definitely, like I guess like the symptoms of that have like lessened.
Hmm.
I think like as I've become more secure in our relationship, um, but definitely like I think for as long as I can remember, like anytime I expressed a need within the relationship, I was told like you're being way too sensitive. That's not what I said. Um, you're taking my words out of context. You're too stupid to understand what I said. You're blah, blah, blah. And it would always like escalate. And so for me, like my attachment is very like, I feel like unless I have an opportunity to explain myself and explain like exactly where I'm coming from, that the person that I'm with won't understand and that it's going to be taken the wrong way and that they're going to think that I'm like I remember the big one was like that I was using my emotions. I was trying to use my emotions and my feelings to
To manipulate.
manipulate. And I remember, like, especially at the beginning of our relationship, feeling like I want to explain to you where I'm coming from, because if I don't, then you're going to think that I'm trying to manipulate you, or you're
Mm-hmm.
going to think that I'm being too sensitive, or you're going to think that I didn't understand. And I felt like none of those things are true. And if I don't have an opportunity to express what is true and what was actually happening, then it's going to be taken the wrong way. You're going to get mad. You're not going to want to talk to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like, all of this was like definitely at the beginning of our relationship, but I still see evidence like now with you and I, like, if we get into an argument, I can tell it like takes, and we don't really like
Mm-hmm.
an argument, but like a disagreement, it will take me a little bit to like talk myself down and be like, this isn't that big of a
Mm-hmm.
deal. Like, we're going to talk about it later.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's not the end of the world, but like, it definitely still is prevalent. I think just the way that your attachment style is your attachment style,
Mm-hmm.
and it is what it is. So yeah, I'm definitely an anxious attachment style. Definitely an anxious for me. So like, I want to talk through it
Right.
immediately. Like, I want to make sure we're on the same page. I want to make sure it's all been like, we've talked about every single point. We've gone through every single piece of it, and like,
I think the way I see your attachment style through my eyes is that I think overall you're an anxious person.
no,
And I think that, of course not.
I am not.
I think that, and it's not in a bad way, it's just that you need a different form of reassurance than I do.
Mm,
And I think what that looks like for you is not feeling like you're too much for me and feeling like it's okay and it's safe for you to come to me when you're not okay and that you're not going to bug me and you're
yeah,
not annoying me and you're not too much and I am going to listen to you. I am going to validate you. And I think it's important to understand that just because I don't need reassurance the way you do doesn't mean that the way you need reassurance is wrong.
mm, that's true, because I mean, in a sense, like, your attachment style is also like, you just need some reassurance that like you're going to be safe here and
Mm,
heard, and that you don't need to like walk away.
mm,
And that doesn't mean that you won't necessarily need like more time to like think things through or
mm.
anything, but like, I think both are just the way that you need reassurance looks a little bit different. Do you think that attachment styles are trauma responses? Like, do you think that, you know how people talk about like nature versus nurture?
Hmm.
Do you think that attachment styles are nature or nurture? Like, do you think this is just the way that you are, or do you think that you were made this, like your circumstances in your life?
I think nature and nurture is a little bit of both
Mm,
because nurture would insinuate that the people around you had an influence. Nature would be the environment around you had an influence. So if you had a rough upbringing, because your environment that's just your environment,
mm,
I think that could lead to an avoidant or anxious either
mm,
way because you don't know what's going to happen next. Or if you're constantly moving and your family is unstable, you don't know what's going to happen next. Or you can come out avoidant to where you're like, you know what, fuck it, it is what it is.
mm,
But then the people around you also have an influence because if you have nurturing parents, it might cause less anxiety. But if you have parents who aren't really present or prevalent, then it can lead to avoiding because you have to learn
right.
how to self soothe in those moments.
Oh, that's true, because all you've known is doing it on your
Right.
own.
So I think it could really go
Mm.
either way. Um,
Was it hard for you to like learn to work through things like together versus trying to be on your own?
you mean with you?
Hmm.
No. Yes, but no. Yes in the beginning because I had to make sure it was like safe. But once I knew it was safe, it didn't become easy, but I became better at it.
Mm.
Because there were still moments where I would catch myself like, I'm just gonna walk away. Like I don't want to like get into this. I don't want to deal with this. But then I'm like, no, I'm in a relationship. I gotta figure this shit out with her. That's the only way we're gonna get through it. That's the only way to get past it. Like it's the only way. And back then, I think I needed like time. Like I needed 5 minutes to go get my thoughts together.
Hmm.
But like now, I could be in the moment and still be like, because my fight or flight is gonna kick in automatically. It's
Hmm.
just a habit, but I can acknowledge the fact that it's happening and prevent it from happening. If that makes sense. So
Hmm.
like I can't prevent the feeling from happening, but I can prevent the action from happening.
Hmm. Like you recognize your triggers now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Do you feel like um is it hard was it hard for you to not feel like you were too much when it came to explaining away?
Sometimes it still is.
You think so?
Yeah, not a lot, but like every once in a while, especially if I'm like about to express a need or like if it's something that like I don't know, like even that doesn't really happen that often where there's like things that you at this point like you know me so well that I feel like you anticipate like if something is gonna make me like respond a certain way, which I really appreciate about you. But I think it was really hard because I had like I believed that I believed that there was a very high chance that if I were to express myself, it was going to be taken the wrong way and it
Mm,
was going to cause things to just like fall apart, you know? And I think with you, I think what changed that for me was you are, and I think this is a big reason why you and I are so compatible. You are very like consistent. Like you are the same person all the time. You're pretty even keel most of the time.
mm.
And I don't have to be like nervous about
What kind of writing am I getting today?
yeah, like cuz it doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
You're the same, you know? And I think that changed it a lot for me and like taught me that like I don't have to be anxious and nervous about like talking to you about things or bringing things up or trying to like work through things with us because you are caring and thoughtful and supportive and intentional 98% of the time,
Mm-hmm.
100% of the time, you know? And so, like, I knew if I bring this to you, he's going to respond in this way because that's who he is, you know? And I think that your consistency is what changed that the most for me. I mean, there was like definitely work on my part where like I have to like talk myself through things,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And like that's where the work comes in, but I think the biggest thing that changed it for me is the consistency. And I think that's a big piece of like, I'm actually kind of glad we're talking about this now because I think that's a big piece of like when we were talking about what we wanted this channel to be and like what the thought process was behind our like to become one thing is that within when you've experienced like relational trauma, there are big pieces of that that you cannot heal outside of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't have to be like a relationship with like a romantic partner. That
Right,
could be
intimate
like
one.
that could be a friendship,
Friendship,
that could be a
family.
family, that
Mm-hmm.
could be anything. That could honestly, I think I mean, I don't know, some things could be a relationship with yourself, but there are things that like you you have to be able to teach yourself and to like talk yourself through situations that are like it's not going to go the way that it did last time
Mm-hmm.
because this is not the same person and this is not the same situation, and those are experiences that you can't heal
Mm-hmm.
without having a connection with someone else who intentionally or not, I don't think it's always intentional that they
Mm-hmm.
help you heal those things, but with you, do you think have you been is that something you've had to be intentional about,
As far as
like because you have known through our relationship that I am like bringing issues
mm-hmm.
to the table, right? When we like talk about things, do you have to put thought into like, I know that she has been through these things, and so this is why she's responding this way, and I just need to respond this way or whatever? Or is it just like, that's just your natural response? Does that make sense?
I think a lot about what I'm gonna say before I say it. depending on how it's gonna affect you, just because yes, what you've been through.
Mm.
So like I can't. Well, I'm not gonna say I can't, but I won't respond in a certain way because I know how it might affect you.
Mm.
So I'm not saying I'm not acting like myself. It's just that I have to choose my words because I don't want your anxiety to. I don't want you to be afraid to ask me to clarify. I want to make sure I elaborate as much as possible
Mm.
because I don't want you to feel like you can't ask. Okay, what did you mean by that?
Mm.
Because you might think it's gonna upset me, which you never. I feel like you never do.
Mm.
Like I feel like you never think things are gonna upset me. You're really open and you're really like, well, how'd you feel about that conversation? Like even though you have anxiety, you still check in on me, make sure I'm good, make sure that the conversation went okay, make sure there was clarity, make sure we're on the same page. Like you're on top of like everything, and it's amazing.
That's
And
anxiety.
yeah, but like it's not anxiety in a way of like assuming. It's anxiety in a
Mm.
way of like like assuring, like okay, this is exactly what it is. It's not like oh, did he mean this? Did he mean that? Like you're not walking away from the conversation with questions. You're walking away from the conversation knowing we're on the same page because your anxiety is telling you like I need clarity. Either I'm gonna provide that for myself and then it's gonna be bad, or I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
ask him for clarity just to make sure like this is exactly what it's gonna be, and I can walk away knowing like this is one less thing I have to worry about or think about because I know for a fact this is what it's to be. If that
Mm-hmm.
makes
It
sense.
does make sense.
I I think it took us a a while. When I say a while, I don't mean like forever. I think it took us a month or so to really navigate each other, and we're still
Mm-hmm.
learning how to navigate each other as far as attachment styles. And there's things that come up that might be triggers for us. I can't think of some on the top of my head, but there
They
has been
exist.
things right that trigger us. But in those moments, instead of us reacting to those triggers, we have stopped in those moments and really like, okay, here's what's happening. Here's why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Here's what I can tell my partner, so that way my partner can help me in this moment.
Mm.
So like I can tell you're anxious, and I go, babe, what's wrong? And you say, I don't know, I just feel anxious. And then I'm like, okay, why do you think you feel anxious? Well, it's work things. Okay, what exactly at work do you feel like has caused you to be anxious? Well, I had a conversation with such and such, and I really don't know how it went because I didn't get further clarification. And then we have a conversation about that. We unpack that, and we keep going until we realize like okay, there's nothing we can really do about this conversation that already happened, and if you need further clarification, maybe call or text this person and say, hey, what do you mean by that? But otherwise just let it go and move on.
Right.
But it's not more so like okay, I have anxiety, I'm just going to shut down and freeze and then avoid my partner because I don't want to my problems to become my partner's problems. Like you still come to me in those moments when you're not okay. And I think that me personally, I'm trying and I have been better about like when things are okay, not trying to hold it in and deal with it by
Mm.
myself. Because even though I'm a man, I'm not that strong. Like I'm not He Man, I'm not Hercules. Like I can't lift the weight of the world physically or emotionally, and I do need help. And you feeling it's not that I'm not capable of doing it by myself, but as you stated earlier, I feel like that healthy connection brings out a part of you that you like you can only do so much work by yourself before you need that healthy connection from another person who is like saying, hey, I'm here to help you, I got you, and you're that person for me.
And 9 times out of 10, you still got it. But to
Yeah,
have someone say, like, if you don't got it, I got you.
right. And
But you got it.
even when I try to figure it out, you still want to know like, okay, what happened?
Mm.
And then when I talk to you and tell you about what happened, it makes not only me feel better, but you also point out another perspective that I didn't see because you're looking at it from a different lens than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I think our attachments I think attachment styles can make or break a relationship immensely because an anxious person can feel like they're too much. An avoidant person can look like they don't care enough.
Mm.
And if you misconstrue these attachment styles, I feel like it could be very detrimental because, of course, your partner cares. They just don't know how to show you they care.
That's so true. I remember at the beginning of our relationship, like, if we would get into something and you'd be like, I gotta leave, I'd be like, he doesn't even like me.
And it's not that I just don't know how to handle my emotion and your
Right,
emotion at the same time. I'm
right.
learning how to do this.
Mhm.
And then when you wouldn't give me a minute, I'm like, man, I understand she's upset, but like I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate my
Mhm.
own emotion to tell you, like, give you a
Because
proper
in your
reply.
head, you're like, we want to work through this, so I need to walk away. And in my head, I'm like, if we want to work through this, we
We
need to
need to,
talk this out.
right. So I'm walking away, and you're like, we need to talk this out. So it looks like I don't care, and it looks
Right,
like you're caring. Like you don't care about how I feel by not giving me the space I
right,
feel like I need. But how do I tell you I need space without making it seem like I need space away from you? I just need space away from the situation. It's not you. It's just the situation is very overwhelming for me,
yeah.
and I don't know how to communicate that right now in the moment. And I need a minute, but I can't tell you I need a minute because you're anxious, and because you're anxious, it looks like I don't care, and I'm walking away from the situation. I'm gonna walk away,
That's a
and
vicious
I'm
cycle.
abandoning you. And then
It's a
once that
vicious cycle.
animosity builds up because of these actions, it's like, okay, how do we go forward from here? Because
Right.
I'm already preparing for you to walk away, and then I'm
Mhm.
already preparing for you to be on my back about, like, okay, why are you walking away? You don't even care. Like, you're reacting to how I'm reacting. I'm reacting to how you're reacting instead of us just communicating and talking.
It's really important to identify your attachment style and identify your partner's attachment style and what that means and looks like in the heat of the moment
Yeah,
for your relationship.
I think that's an important part in the heat of the moment. Still remembering, like, you two are partners. You two
Mm,
are together to love and to grow and to nourish and to cherish, not to fight and argue and point fingers to say you did this and you did that. It's to figure out, okay, here's what's going on. Why is this going on? How can we work on it? I realized that you're reacting a certain way, and I expected you to react a certain way, and you didn't react the way I expected you to. Why is that? And
mhm.
granted, I'm not trying to say, oh yeah, you need to react this way every time I say this, but it's more so like, okay, why are you getting defensive if I'm just trying to express the way I feel?
Right,
And why are you overreacting if I'm trying to express the way I feel?
right.
Why is this happening? Why are you walking away when I tell you my feelings? Well, it's because you don't know how to handle this situation because you've never been in this position before, and that's okay to say that. I've never been in this position before. I don't know what to do. But it's not okay to just walk away and act like this problem or the situation is just gonna disappear. It's still here. Like, I still have these feelings and emotions. And if we don't talk about these things, it's gonna roll over to the next time. It's gonna roll over to the next time. It's gonna get to a point where we explode or we're bringing up old things and we are pointing fingers at each other. We are saying we don't care about one another because I walk away and you don't give me a minute to get my space, but also I'm not telling you I'm walking away because I need space. I'm just walking away, and that's all you
Mhm.
see. So it looks like I'm abandoning you like everybody else, which causes you to have more anxiety, which causes you to be in your head even more. And it's
You almost have to, in the heat of that moment, you have to get out of your head and into your partner's.
yeah,
Because if you stay in your head, then you're going to translate all of their actions through your attachment style
in your past
and your
experiences,
past
worst case
experiences.
scenario, and
Yeah.
then
Instead of taking what you know about your partner, translating it through, I know he needs a minute. I know he needs to process all of this. I know that if I continue to speak right now,
he's gonna
like,
go further into a rabbit hole and shut down.
yeah.
But I know if the further I walk away from her, the more anxiety she's gonna have, and the more she's gonna think I don't care. And she's either gonna continue to try, or she's gonna stop trying because she doesn't want to feel like I'm overwhelmed. She doesn't want to feel like she's
Mm,
overwhelming. And then by her not trying anymore, I'm assuming that she doesn't care no more. And because I'm assuming she doesn't care no more, I'm gonna ask myself, why should I continue to care? It's just a vicious cycle that doesn't need to happen if we just communicate.
attachment styles.
Attachment styles. I love you.
I love you too.